Our next session is the hotly anticipated Better Politics debate. This is where, woo, that's right, get your hears, your boos, your hisses, your cheers, all of those things ready.
Yes. The question on the table: do political parties help or hurt democracy?
I'm pretty sure those on the help team still want to run for office one day.
Probably. What about the ones on the hurt team?
Never, no chance.
Never
Again. All right, to guide us through this clash of ideas, egos, and one-liners, please welcome back to the stage your debate host, Lisa Witter.
Okay, so this promises to be a debate of a lifetime. So I'm going to invite up teams, Parties Help Democracy, Kanchi Agarwal, Netri Foundation, and we're lucky to have her a Better Politics Foundation Fellow. She's a German Chancellor Fellowship too. Come on up, Kanchi. Let's do this quick. Then we have Parties Help Democracy, Marcos Peña, author and former Chief of Staff, Cabinet Minister. And last but not least, the smooth tongue, always impressive, always surprising, Goran Boldowski, Senior Fellow at the Hertie School. So come on in. So quickly, I asked you guys in advance, what's your team name? We need the mic. Team name, here comes the mics. I'll take it here. You got it? Did you decide your team name yet?
Yes, we do.
Okay, Kangxi, wait for the mic.
It's simple, but it's quirky. Let's party.
Let's party. Okay, there you go. Okay, and this team will start walking over this way because you're going to enter on this stage left. We have Adele Poskett, Westminster Foundation for Democracy. Parties are her day job. Fabiana Fernandez, she's alumni from Proximo Geração, a PLI in Portugal. I love this PLI so much, Fabiana. You are in our LEAP Council, which is looking at evidence-based on politics. And I don't know what to describe you, like ninja of politics, master of so many things, exposures of really crappy stuff to bring in light, Paul Hilder with Maji Associates. So thank you. What is the name of your, yeah, give him a round of applause.
Our team is called Team Democracy.
Team Democracy. So no points for creativity there. Okay. So I wanted you each to give a sense for the audience of who you are by telling your childhood nickname. So Kangxi, you want to start?
I love drama, so they did call me Drama Queen.
Drama Queen.
Yeah.
Okay, this may play out on the stage here. Marcos.
Hey, Marquitos, I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, so I was always the small one.
Little Marquitos. He's trying to get your empathy there with that. Just want you to know. Goran.
At a later stage, I was called the trainer. Always they asked me to bring a flip chart when I was arguing with friends.
Uh-oh, that could be. You guys keep it on that side. How about this side, Paul?
My childhood nickname was Hitler because I went to a British prep school.
Okay. Bit of a mic drop moment in Germany, but here we go. Fabiana?
My childhood name was Banana because it rhymes with my name, Fabiana, so it was my nickname. But it's a cute nickname, Banana.
Okay, let's see if she peels something open today. I couldn't help that one. Okay, Adele.
Well, my first job, I was in the football team, and people called me Delzo, which was fine on the football pitch, but when it started going into meetings and work situations, that was a little bit less professional, but Delzo was what people called me.
Delzo, we're going to go with that. Delzo, I love my nickname playing soccer was Animal, so I can feel that. Okay, so I'd like each one of you to come up. We're going to flip a coin for a very scientific decider of who will go first or second. Come on up, Kangxi, who's on your side to call, heads or tails. Adele, I'll let you call heads, so 1 will be heads and tails will be the eagle. This is 0. So 1 or the eagle? 1, okay. Drama, there's so much drama right there. And it is the 1. Would you like to go first or second?
We can go second. Second?
Go second. Okay, here we go. So here are the very strict rules, and this I'm being serious about. What we'll hear is 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. There'll be a quick pause to figure out your rebuttal, which will be 2 minutes. Then we will go to the judges, which I'll introduce at the time. Thank you very much, judges. They're going to give some quick sort of observations, and scientifically, this audience is going to decide the winners. That was funny because there's no science involved in it. Yeah, thank you. It's late, I know. But the winners are going to receive 3 signed copies of Lior's book. So she's excited to do that. So when you hear the bell, that means your time is up. I am going to officially, will the timer set for me at 3 minutes? Or I can do it. I'm a ready to go lady. So you guys get to go first. Who's up first? And go ahead, please stand.
Okay.
You want to take the stage. Okay, Kangxi. And you're starting right now. Just to remember, this is Parties Help Democracy. Go.
Hi, everyone. I would like to hear some more noise because it's the Let's Party group. Okay. So I will start this debate by stating the obvious, because that's what we do. What is this debate really about? It is about democracy. It is about help and not claiming any perfections. And it is also about talking, when do parties help? We just had a very insightful panel right before talking about political parties' importance, right? The first thing that we're talking about is, Robert Dahl said it, and I'm quoting, it is about participation and contestation, right? So parties help, and hear me out, they help simplify representation and information, but while maintaining pluralistic competition. And this point is about organizing competition. Parties bring the information to you. So my imagination to you right now in this moment is, imagine Tetra Paks. You all go to grocery shop, right? And if you were told that you had to pick everything that you need, not knowing what is inside, how would you really identify it? Right? So parties, in our opinion, are Tetra Paks of democracies. They make ideology, policies consumable. They bring it in a container that you may like or not like. And another point here that we would like to bring together is that when do parties help? They help during elections. They start actually right from the time that people show interest, activation stage that we were talking about. They then train people, they support them, they bring them in the system, and they also help them govern better, right? So this is about making sure finding a home for both voters and politicians in one place. Otherwise, you'll all be too scattered.
Parties as the Tetra Pak for democracy. Wasn't expecting that tonight. Metaphor that will stick with me. I had some here's, not so many boos, so okay. Let's hear it from Team Democracy.
From my side.
Woo! Give a round of applause. Let's go.
Hello. Hello, everyone. You have been nice words from the other side, from the other team, but I've heard today that change starts with people, not with the system. And unfortunately, the parties are part of the system, and it limits the genuine participation of people in politics. So imagine if the parties don't limit the participation of the people, why do you have a race of independent candidates? You see all over the news, the race of protests, the race of movements of young people to do politics. And we are an example. We all, in our countries, we do politics without parties. We do politics with people. And we want to make politics genuine. We want to make politics bring back people to discuss, to talk, to open their hearts and say, I have a problem and you have the solution. And when we talk about parties, it's a problem because they are a logic of us versus them. And we don't want that. In this world, we need to have a collaborative thinking. We have to think solutions with the both sides. And unfortunately, we don't have this in the parties. But we will have in the future when all of the participants of all of our academies goes to the spot, run as a candidate and change that. So for that, I would say that, again, change starts with people, not with systems. And the parties need to learn with us. Thank you.
Tetra Pak, Tetra Pak of democracy and change starts with people, not systems. Who's up next on Team Party Party?
So, first of all, glad to hear that all people here who belong to a political party are not people, no? I think we're a bit harsh on politicians. I think we're a bit harsh on politicians because we equate them with extraterrestrials. Well, actually, if we think about that, you know, politicians are less to be blamed. And believe me, I've criticized a lot politicians in my life and career. But if you look at the totality of the society, you know, politicians are less to be blamed than, for example, people who have 300, 400 billion US dollars or alike, or a lot of other holders of power. Second thing, I hear you, and as a donor in my past life, I've supported a bazillion of initiatives with so-called deliberative democracy, you know, people's assemblies, and everything that goes with the lot to represent more people. And that was a very good thing, and I will do it again. Why? Because actually, there was a hollowing out of political parties. The concept of political parties is much brighter and better than the reality of practicing. Nevertheless, I will ask you, if you represent the people and you have 1 million people to cluster their votes, how would you do it? And I checked, last time when I checked, there was still no the magic app that will do the collective, that will solve the collective action problem, that will do the sortition of the vote preferences, that will actually organize that in some kind of a human system. And frankly, you know, political parties were invented because they were an informal institution and they've become formalized. So in some ways, I ask you to think, wait a second. We can solve this, collective action with a different thing. And I bet you will again come with something which won't be Let's Party, but will be something else, but again will be in a form and substance a political party. Now, what I want to suggest is like, try to imagine, you erase the political parties. Oh, we don't need to imagine that. Look what autocrats are doing. What's the first thing what they're doing? Media, civil society, next opposition political parties. We just had people from Venezuela, you know, testifying that. So I would say, you know, if they were not representing the people, why then all the autocrats want to get rid of political parties that don't follow their logic or their rule? And the last point that I want to say about still sitting with the collective action, because really I've been thinking hard. You know, we live here in Germany. Let's use an example from Germany. Everybody heard about the tripartite system. You know, the business, the labor, and who was the third one? The government, of course. And imagine if there are no political parties. Will these people create their own political representation bodies? Actually, they're trying. Last time I heard that was a mystery in the United States. But I want to give you a sort of imagination. What will happen?
Okay. Let's see. No magic apps. Maybe you have one. Maybe you're going to reveal it today, right from the stage. Adele, magic app?
Okay, I don't have a magic app, but I'd like to come back to the opposition's point about how the people who represent parties may be aliens. I'd also just ask the audience today, how many of you are actually members of political parties? Which of you are the aliens? Because in Europe at the moment, there's only 5% of people are members of political parties. So that is the starting point of where we are in the conversation. Excuse me, I'm just going to read you a quote. So this was a quote by President Eisenhower in 1956 to the Republican Women's Conference. If a political party does not have at its foundations in the determination to advance a cause that is right and that is moral, then it's not a political party. It's merely a conspiracy to seize power. So our team's argument today is that too many parties in too many places in the world are failing in their mandate to represent the values and priorities of citizens. We've heard my colleague talk about how parties are failing to represent the interests of citizens. I'm going to talk a little bit about how parties have been taken over by elite representatives, elite capture, and how they're hollowing out the parties. Our argument is that parties are prioritizing the needs of the few over the interests of the many. And then once in power, these parties are about self-preservation. They're about holding on to the power. They're not thinking about public interest. So how has this happened? Like, how have we got to the point? Because most of the 20th century, parties were social movements, they were ideological, they were involving citizens to a large extent. But over time, either organically or by the intentions of some, that hasn't really happened. So how has this disconnect happened? Parties have become more professional. They're not so rooted in community networks anymore. A lot of their traditional functions, they're outsourcing. They're influencing, the advocacy, the mobilizing activists is largely outsourced. They're not about mass mobilization anymore. And then we have the issue of money. There's so much money going into political parties now, with very opaque rules, which most people don't understand, but this money is largely going into these parties for the interests of the leadership. So, to conclude, historically, parties have been integral to making democracy work, but today they're undermining it.
Ooh, and with 2 seconds to go. Okay, so I'm a big baseball fan. Any baseball fans here? In Germany, it's maybe my husband after all these years. So you're batting cleanup. What that means is sweep. Go.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night to everybody. We are very used to the arguments we're listening to the other side in my country, in my region, because that's what populist, authoritarian leaders usually say to eliminate democracy. We have to understand that political parties have a lot of problems, but we haven't heard one idea of something that can replace them. We need to be very responsible about this, because when you live democracies in our region, the same in Africa, the same in Asia, the difference between democracy and not is liberty, as Leopoldo said before. So we need to have to work together to how to make politics better, how to make political parties better, not to eliminate them. One of the ways political parties help democracy is something that we have seen through the day, the need for training. There is very little training done compared to what it should be done. But what little is done, in majority, is done by political parties. Some of it formally, with formal training programs inside the political party, sometimes within political party families, helping especially young politicians to meet people from other places of the world, to understand the common problems there is in the practice of politics. Informally, because that's where the school where you learn to build consensus, you learn to de-idealize humans in politics. Because the problem is not so much of institutions, it's that human beings and power don't relate well. And it doesn't matter if you're a 40-year experienced politician or somebody new saying, I'm going to be the new guy that's going to do everything perfect. Because once you're in power, power corrupts, power is difficult, and there's a lot of experience about that. That doesn't mean we don't have to rethink how we train in political parties. We need more modern mentoring support systems. We need to rethink about how we support people through a career. Most of the training is done when people are young, but you don't have training for high-level officials. You don't have training or support for people that leave power. You don't have the possibility of working in mental health, physical health. We have to learn from elite sports. We have to learn from companies. We have to learn from arts, from different places where you have high stress, very difficult activities for human beings. And being in power is one. So please, let's not destroy the little we have of democracies. Let's make them better. Thank you.
Let's make them better, yeah. Most of my work is with political parties or leaders. I've twice been a candidate to be General Secretary of the British Labour Party. So you might expect me to be on the other side of this debate. But I got into party politics after the Iraq War, mainly because Tony Blair's Labour Party was clearly not working. 20 years ago, after that, I ran around and I interviewed lots of people, and I wrote a survey of political innovations, which I called Open Parties, a map of 21st century democracy. I was much more fresh-faced then. Party innovation and openness, unfortunately, are still more the exception than the rule. It is 2025 now. Donald Trump is back in the White House. So it's time for some real talk. History did not end in 1989. Democracy is not in very good shape. Toto, we are not in Kansas anymore. Liberal institutionalist Democrats too often try to put lipstick on the pig of our mediocre parties and systems, which is one very good reason why the populist right are winning. Let's face it, in our heart of hearts, we all know the ugly truth. Parties, politicians, and elites get lost and disappear up their own arses more often than not. America's founding fathers saw parties as a necessary evil, one which needed to be managed. In the Federalist Papers, Madison wrote that parties tend to champion special interests over the general interest, and he was right. Self-dealing, arrogance, blindness, and corruption by the very oligarchs who Goran mentioned, is the path of least resistance for parties, and those diseases are only growing today, including here in the heartlands of Europe and America. So, with the return of naked oligarchy in the West, most obviously in Trump's cartel America, the mask is off, and let's not forget that the worst excesses of the 20th century, Hitler's Holocaust, Stalin's terror, and American-sponsored genocides and totalitarian regimes all over the world can all be traced back to rotten political parties. I am arguing today that parties are bad for democracy because even if you think they are essential, claiming they are intrinsically good for democracy is classic establishment bullshit and the road to disaster. Marcos, good night and good luck.
So let's hear it for our debaters. Paul did ask me, can I go there? I said, yeah, you can go there. Go wherever you want to go. He went there. So there are 3 minutes. There are 3 minutes on the clock. You are going to huddle into your caucuses and figure out what your 3-minute rebuttal is. Go. While they're quietly doing that, I'd like our 3 judges to stand up. Edward Brooks from the Oxford Character Practice, there he is. You want to move over to your other judges. You feel lonely over there, Ed. Caroline Weinman with Join Politics. Caroline is an extraordinary political entrepreneur. As you saw that Germany is high, to the surprise of many Germans, on the index that Kim shared, the amount of political innovation that's going on in Germany is just fantastic, and Caroline is a big part of that, so thank you, Caroline. And then Sarah is really writing a lot, but Sarah, if you could give a quick stand so people can meet you. Sarah Hunter, her title here is Advanced Research Innovation Agency in the UK, but she does so much more. She's really thinking about how do we support people in politics in the UK, asking these questions about parties and doing this work kind of mirroring our work. So Sarah, thank you. They will be, after the rebuttals, they will be given like a 1 minute max, sort of, this is what I heard, not that you're a great debater or a bad debater. They're just going to give some inputs in a quick minute. We're all good with that. Okay, so with 55 seconds on the clock, turn to someone you haven't met and introduce yourself. Go. Jimena. Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Damian. Nice to see you. Thank you. Gauri, Sarah, Vanda, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dora. Thank you, Dino, Hussam. Thanks, everyone. Are you guys ready for the closing arguments? So, what I will say, you have 20 seconds to sort. What I will say is, this is really hard, right? Coming up and making an argument about a complicated thing in 3 minutes. We pay them a lot to do this. We don't pay them anything. And I asked them to play the role. So what they're arguing may not be what they really think. I want you to sort of know that and respect that in case we get to cocktails, you get angry at them. First, find out if they were actually saying what they mean. So with that, we're going to swap order. So you all went second this time. So you will go first this time. 3 minutes on the clock. Fabiana, this is you. Let's give a round of applause. Closing remarks, Fabiana.
Here I am again to do the close argument. I just want to clarify one thing. We don't want to finish the parties. That's not our point. We want to help democracy. And help democracy is having a global view of what we need in the world. We need to see diversity, as we see in this room. When you walk into a party, you see a bubble. Ideas, a bubble of programs, and a bubble of ambition that we don't need in the world. We need diversity. So, as my colleague says, the parties need people to vote, to give the power to the parties. They need the people. But they need the people more than in the moment that we vote. They need the people the moment they take a decision. They need the people to take care, and they need the people to be a party that helps democracy. So, with that said, we need the parties. We really need the parties. We need someone that has a full-time job, reading the laws, doing the laws. We need the parties because really, I want to do CrossFit at the end of the day. So, but I want to be part of the solution. I want to share my ideas. I want to bring people to the table to discuss ideas. And we need the parties to be open. We need that every time a eldest goes to a party, doesn't feel like a strange one in the room. We need to fit. And I believe that everyone is in this room with the academies, with all the programs. The first thing that you do is do the welcome to everyone. And we need the parties to do that. And no one better to teach the parties what is the democracy, what is the needs of the people than us, than our family, than our friends. So change starts with people, not with the systems. And I want, please, all to say, please, with me, change starts with people, not with the system. So this is my final argument, and thank you.
Thank you. We're going to divide the conclusion. But the first thing I would say to the other team is, if you want to help political parties to help democracy, then we have to stop generalizing. Because every time we say politics is bad, we're being unfair with a young or old or idealistic person that entered politics to try to change it. And every time that person feels judgment, attack, and disappreciation by the people outside, then they want to leave politics. And that's why we're having the problem we're having. We need a competitive system. Democracy has to be a competitive system. And we haven't found out a better way to maintain a competitive system than with parties that want to get to power. Yes, parties need to get to power. They want to get to power to change reality because people change systems, and people also change systems. And we always have to think about that. Competition requires resources, organization, and will of power.
Your comment on elite capture really struck a chord to us, and we absolutely agree. Just that you didn't offer any alternative to this, because like, what's then the alternative model if it's not parties? Well, actually, we see if the parties are funded through the state or through systems which are not just individuals with a lot of money funding them, there might be a better chance. And in many ways, actually, there also might be a better chance if there is a help where a lot of movements out there, they transform into political parties, the thresholds for their political engagement to be lower, and as well their ability to transform the energy from the movement into politically understood language is very much needed. So in a way, we share a lot of argumentations, but we would say, you know, elite capture will be even easier if there are no parties around.
And with that, we heard many slogans on the other side, but not too many alternatives. If we want to really replace generalist systems, we're starting with political parties today. Tomorrow we could attack academia, media, and all other generalist institutions which are supposed to be the scaffolding. And I want to again bring back my very Berlin metaphor. If we are in Berlin, what kind of a party you do depends on the people, and that also strikes a chord. So you could go to a techno party, or you could do a tea party like London style, right? It depends on the people, what they're coming together for. So if it is, people are the core, and what we are trying to say, the kind of people that are getting in with money, with elite capturist intention, if they are going to be making through, what is the guarantee that alternative models are not getting captured? At least in parties, we have checks and balances. So with that, we don't have any alternatives on the other side, but to party.
No alternative but to party, and Kangxi from India brought the Berlin techno to the Better Politics Day. I appreciate that. So I will ask Ed, or who's ready first? Caroline, which one of you want to go first? Caroline, go first. Your minute feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for the very engaging debate. First of all, to the team Hurting. Thanks for your compelling arguments about touching on the topic of the disconnect between parties and people. And the need to stop putting on lipstick on things that obviously don't work anymore in your perspective. I think that you made emotionally very appealing arguments. You talked to the audience because, of course, why would we all be here if things were working perfectly? I think it would have helped to have some more evidence and possibly also some suggestions on on alternatives if the parties and the system as it is don't function. So thank you very much for that. Now to Team Tetra Pak. Thanks for the very well structured arguments, talking about parties, the way they are organizing and transmitting information to the people. I think at the beginning I wasn't totally convinced of how convinced you are about your own arguments and what's really in the Tetra Pak. But I think this changed over time. You made the case for improving what we have and improving the people, or the work that the people we have are doing. Here, I think it would have helped to have some maybe more disruptive ideas about how we can really make parties and democracy competitive again.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
They didn't provide the magic app that Goran was asking for. Who's next, Ed or Sarah? Sarah, go ahead.
Okay, let's start with Team Party. There should be a party which is for raves, so well done. You've already got us a good in there. I think you were really rational in your argumentation. You had good logic, and you brought some arguments that, frankly, were kind of it was incrementalism, let's do reform, but in a really sensible way, and it was pretty compelling. I'd have liked a little bit more emotion, I think, in the kind of selling of it, because I think you felt the audience maybe weren't quite as aligned with you as the other team. But as I said, I think it was a very sort of well-argued and well done for bringing in Tetra Paks and raves, because that's hard to do in politics. Team Democracy, I mean, strong on the emotions. What can I say? Strong on the emotions, really compelling in terms of the whooping. I think that was a good sort of barometer from the room. Not many facts, I agree with that, although you were the only people who brought in one fact. Around 5% of people in Europe aren't members of parties. So that was an actual fact, and no one else brought any others, so I give it to you. Actually, in the end, I think you had a really strong argument in the end about plurality being the thing that you wanted to bring to the party. And, you know, whatever you agree about the sort of dramatic interpretation of recent events, I think the plurality was the thing that actually came through stronger. So in the end, I think you had a really logical argument, despite coming strong on emotion.
Thank you. And before Ed is our final speaker, the next is to you. So you can stay up, Ed, it's fine. So what I will do after Ed speaks is I will ask between claps and hollers who the winning team is. So start formulating, and please only vote for once. There's no voter fraud. Okay.
Thank you. So thanks for a fantastic, spirited debate. We didn't have many facts, maybe, but we had much emotion and hearty arguments. It was fantastic to hear. So as you probably gathered, us as judges, we were looking at 4 things. Were they clear? Were they persuasive? Did they have evidence? What was the impact they've left? I guess we'll soon see. But team, let's party. Were they clear? We had the Tetra Paks of democracy. Maybe you don't go hunting those out in the supermarket, but we can't live without them. We were told there's no better way. We need to make them better and push into some training. There was some evidence, a little bit, maybe autocrats. They're undermining parties. That's not a good thing. There was some evidence of experience, and Marcos provided that. From his experience, there was the idea about the alternative. What alternative do we have? And an argument at the end which left us with 2 things. It said, start where we are, add hope, add courage, and maybe we can move forward together. That was Team Let's Party. Thank you so much. On the other side, we also had a lot of engagement. Were they clear? Well, people first. It was a really clear message right at the beginning and there at the end. Parties are part of a broken system that is not working. They're the past, not the future. They're not representative. They've been subject to elite capture. We don't belong to them. Only 5% in Europe. That's pretty persuasive. This isn't working. Maybe. Maybe not so much evidence, but much impact, incredibly hard-hitting parties and trying to reform them. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. We need to really start again. That was the message from that side. Thanks so much. I guess we've all got to decide now which we're going to vote for.
Yeah, okay. So in advance of picking winners and losers, because that's how things work in elections, could you all stand up and let's give them a round of applause? Isn't it nice to hear a debate? Not just one side, to actually sit in the grind of different perspectives. And what would change if we actually listened, like really listened for co-creation to different ideas? Okay, so with that, I'm going to call upon the vote. Team, parties help democracy. If you believe they won, give me claps and whistles. Okay. Okay, judges, I want you listening with me because you're going to help me determine if we're on the edge. Okay, they hurt democracy. Okay, very scientifically decided by 4 of us, mostly indicated by my ears hurting more than the other. And the winner is hurt democracy. So with that, You will get your books from signed for you. And could I ask everyone to make a pledge? Raise your hand. You trust me, a lot of you are raising your hand, trust me. To try to sit in real debate where we listen to one another to co-create a new way forward. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.